Alright, now's the part where I get to act like a plumber and crawl around in the dirt some more. Which means I'm going underneath there. Doesn't that look appealing? I bet y'all all wish you had a big old 200-year-old house with not enough room to stand up in the basement. A particularly cold, dank, and dirty basement on top of that you, yourself, could also crawl around in your spare time, just for fun. Yeah, if everybody had one of those, there wouldn't be any crime, because everybody would have something to do. They'd all be busy fixing their plumbing, putting up siding, digging out the basement, building a garage, painting the house, putting a new roof on it. I actually think that's probably the key to stopping crime. You know, we just had a lot of people go through a time where people have been losing their houses, and maybe that's a good thing in some ways, because people was paying way too much for their houses anyway. What used to happen is you'd buy you a house you could afford, and along with the package you'd have to fix a few things, and that kept people busy. They didn't have so much time to go out on the street and do drugs and chase wild women and drink alcohol, because they were all crawling around down in the basement fixing stuff like I am, and it kept them out of trouble. But somebody came along and said, oh, you really need a $500,000 house, and we'll give you the money to buy it right here, and don't worry about making the payments. We'll give you one of these slippery adjustable loan things, so you really don't have to pay that much until later. You can pay more later when you got more, but don't worry about that today. Just worry about that down the road. What happened is, when later came along, people didn't have the money to pay for these loans, and they lost their houses. And now they're all living with Uncle Fred and Aunt Jane and Mama and such as that, and they're all thinking, dang, I'd be happy with just a roof over my head that I could call my own. Well, that's where things start, because from that point, you can go out and you can find you an old broken down house, and you can find somebody that owns it that can't afford to fix it up, and you can buy it on the cheap. You might even can work out with the people who own it to sell it to you on the cheap. And then you can take a few dollars you have every week or so, and you can fix the plumbing and the heat and the wiring, and you can do all this stuff yourself. And you can learn how to fix stuff in the process, and then you can pass that on to your children. And on top of that, you'll own the dang place, and nobody can take it away from you. And you'll learn how to do all kind of creative and interesting new stuff, which will keep you from, going out and gambling and drinking and messing around with hookers and doing drugs and getting in trouble with the law, having to hire defense attorneys, things like that. That's my theory on life. I just thought I'd share that with y'all. When you're down here in the basement, really there ain't much else to talk about. So if I can just share some of my philosophy on life there, it might help to enlighten a few folks, and it could just turn your life around. Things could turn out to be pretty good there in your life. You think, well, I thought things was good when I was living in that $500,000 house I couldn't afford, but now that I got my own house and I'm working on it and I'm fixing it up, I'm pretty darn happy. Life turned out good. So, oh, what's that? Break anything? Hope not. These things happen,